Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Dr. Nick, and welcome back to the 90s Guy channel. Today I wanted to talk about the upcoming pay-per-view, the 2020 WWE Royal Rumble. Now, for those who have been a fan of wrestling for many years, the Royal Rumble has always been a big deal. It was one of the original four pay-per-views. It was WrestleMania, Survivor Series, SummerSlam, and the Royal Rumble. This was part of the big four pay-per-views before they started adding all the rest of them. Now, the very first Royal Rumble was in 1988. Now, over the years, many different wrestlers have made huge careers out of winning the Royal Rumble, going on to WrestleMania, and challenging the world champion at the time. Now, back when I was a kid, if I remember correctly, the very first Royal Rumble that I watched on pay-per-view was the 1991, I believe. It was 1991. Pay-per-views were like $70 back then. You know, we didn't have the network, so they were super expensive. Before that, I'd always have to watch the pay-per-view results, find out what happened, and then, if I wanted to watch the entire event, I had to wait for it to come out on VHS, rent it at the local video store. But one thing that was always very prominent in all the rumbles up until like maybe the late 90s, we always believed that anybody had a chance. Everybody had a chance at winning the Royal Rumble. Was it going to be The Undertaker? Was it going to be Mr. Perfect? Could Mr. Perfect win the Royal Rumble and go on to WrestleMania to win the WWF Championship? Could it be Big Boss Man? Could the Big Boss Man throw 29 other people over the ropes and win the Royal Rumble? Now, we all know that Hulk Hogan won two Royal Rumbles right in a row. So, back then, he was the biggest attraction. He was Hulk Hogan. So, I mean, it wasn't shocking that he won twice. But the thing now is there's not a huge surprise anymore, honestly, of who's going to win the Royal Rumble. Obviously things have changed. Back then, we didn't really have dirt sheets. I mean, they existed, but, we didn't have, forums and social media to go on to figure out, okay, this guy they're going to push to win the Royal Rumble. He's going to challenge the world champion. He's going to win, I'd say up until probably 2002, 2003, it was always a big surprise on who was actually going to win the Royal Rumble every year. There's been a slew of different superstars over the years that have been in the Royal Rumble. Some of them, they didn't win the Royal Rumble, but because they lasted so long in the Rumble, that it gave them a huge push. That whether they entered it like 4 or 5, or somewhere in the middle, or they eliminated certain people out of the Rumble that gave them notoriety. Like an up and coming rookie come in and dump a guy out who was in there for over 25 minutes. And it's one of those things where nowadays people would benefit from that as well. The Royal Rumble has always been a favorite pay-per-view of mine. It will always continue to be a favorite of mine. Survivor Series used to be a big one for me. Up until 98, when they did away with the 4-on-4 elimination matches, the two different teams. But the Royal Rumble is always a big surprise for me. Who's going to enter? Who's going to come back from injury? Who's going to come back? Like a legend's going to enter. It's always kind of cool to see who is going to enter the Royal Rumble. When that buzzer goes off, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and, a person's music hits and they come out. To me, I'd have to say, I even though I know how wrestling works, I know how the storylines work, I always like to suspend disbelief in the biggest possible way to enjoy myself watching these pay-per-views, especially the Royal Rumble. I try not to think too much of, well, who are they going to push this year to win the match? I just want to watch the matches, enjoy the Royal Rumble match itself, and just kind of like space out and suspend disbelief. But anyways, I just wanted to thank you all for subscribing. Leave a thumbs up. It really helps out. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. Leave a comment down below if you like this video and you'd like to see more. And I will see you all later.